I mean, I think one of the things that catches me is, especially because I left the US in '02, so a lot of the R&B started getting overshadowed by hip hop. So when I moved to the UK, we weren't getting much R&B apart from legacy artists,
Yeah.
maybe a few Maxwell's and Beyonce and stuff like that. So when you were being signed, what was the expectations and from the label? Were we, they're trying to go platinum, or they just trying to, because as I said, R&B was losing its
Mhm.
reach on TV, with
Mhm.
shows, and even on the radio. So what was the label's expectation as to what would count as success?
I mean, they didn't know what to do with me. I think that
Mm,
because they seen a lot of potential in me to say he could be Neo, he could be this guy, he could be that guy. He writes for
mhm,
this guy. He gave Trey a number one. How come he can't write himself a number one? And I was like, well,
mm,
perspective is everything. And certain things that come out of my mouth and come out of his mouth, you know what I mean? It's all
right.
about what is believable, right? So for
But
me,
that's got to be scary though, to be in a situation where they don't know what to do with you. You just, you're just kind of like in a limbo, like you don't know how to market me. You don't know in this climate what to do with me, and as an artist, why
but
am I
they'll, I
here?
mean, they'll never say, they didn't say that. They didn't
Yeah,
let
they
out
didn't
say,
say
we
it. You
don't know
just
what to
sensed
do with
it.
you.
Yeah.
Listen, the music industry is always infamous, and they will always go to this. It's
Mm.
you. It's not me. It's not us. It's you.
It's you. It's you.
And you need to go into the studio. You need to right? So I was getting a lot of you, something's wrong with you. Then I'm like, damn, well,
Wow.
maybe I suck. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's not meant for me to do this. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
And so God has a funny way as far as like within the frame of what you were discussing, um, that despite what the label said and
Yeah.
their expectation or lack thereof, because every time we would hit a certain high point, they were surprised. It's like, okay, we're opening up for Maxwell. Really? Oh, well,
Mm.
we're go open up for Nee. Really? We got the Glade commercial. Really? Yes, it's number two on R&B iTunes. Really? I'm like, what do y'all expect from me? And
Right.
they were so surprised by everything that they were always reactive versus being proactive and
Proactive.
being like,
Hmm.
okay, he's getting ready to do this, so let's prepare so that we can then
Right.
attack with the stuff that he does have, right? So it didn't make sense for me to stay with them once the light turned on.
Mm.
So once I realized that they didn't have an expectation, and that either whatever was inside of me scared the hell out of them, or that they just didn't know what to do with it or with me. Once that clicked, I was like, you know what? I'm better off discovering me on my own and cultivating a sound and a bass without outside cooks trying to cook with me in the kitchen, because now it's taking longer, it's distracting, and then it does something to your spirit. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
But how
yeah.
Yeah.
easy is it though, just to walk away from a label? I mean, I don't know if modern day label agreements are different, where you can just say, yeah, it's not working, I'm just going to go off.
Oh, no. It took about a year for them to let me go. Cause it's like, by that time I scored a number one record with them at Urban AC. They were surprised. I was surprised. Everybody's surprised. We get nominated for NAACP awards, iHeart Music Awards for best R&B or best new R&B
Hmm.
artist. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that came after that. So once that happened, and it was a defining moment. The defining moment. The defining moment was two things. The first thing was, so I had gotten cool with Michael B. Jordan, right? So we were
Mm.
all kind of in the same circle. So we over at one of our homeboys' house, shout out to Sterling Brim, and we're playing video games, and he's talking about, and this is Michael B. Jordan at this point. He done did Creed, and so everybody's throwing money at him. So we
Okay.
playing video games and he's just like, yo, you got any music for this Piaget watch commercial? I'm like, yeah, like we can figure that out. You just let me know what song. He's like, yo, I think that, this song off your album will be super dope. I'm like, say less. So I'm thinking it's as easy as just being like, yo, like I just talked to him, Mike, like, yo, he gonna put this in the commercial. This gonna be a good look for us. But here's the catch. Because I was a signed artist to a major label, I didn't own my masters, right? So I couldn't say yes or no. So I had to be like, you have to ask the label. And then once you put it into the label's hand, then they start negotiation to say, well, we want 25 grand, we want this and that. And whatever they settle on, here's the catch. Even if I wrote and produced it, I get 0 of the sync fee because I don't own my master, right? So not only does it make a relationship if your label is bargaining in the wrong way, right? It makes your personal relationship with people a little awkward, right? Because they think, yo, they're supposed to be looking out for me. Why they hit me over the head for X amount of dollars? Like, this is a good look for him, right? So that makes that awkward. And then you get no money out of it. So for me, I was like, this ain't adding up. This don't make sense. Second one, I went out on tour and I needed tour support. And I did my first run, and I know I spent about 60 to 70 grand of my own money to finance my tour. And my label at the time gave me maybe 10. Maybe.
So you're signed to a major label. I'm not gonna say the name of it, but you're signed to a major label and you had to put in 70,000 of your own money.
Yeah, and mind you, I don't own my masters. Right. So it's not as if my ROI as far as on, they get a piece of merch, they get a piece of everything. I'm in a 360, right? So they own all of this stuff and I'm putting up 70 grand, right? So I'm like, that don't make sense. Then, and this is a little known fact. So I was offered the Bruno Mars 24 Karat Magic Tour, the Canadian run. And so when it was offered, we needed tour support. I had exhausted, most of my personal funds just to make sure that the tour went on successfully. But you don't turn down Bruno Mars. But they did. So they turned it down. And so
the label turned it down.
Because they feel like, at the time that either we shouldn't be paying to be on tour with Bruno Mars, and they didn't want to exhaust any more of the budget. So at that time, I knew that I was like, they don't get this. They don't get
me. That's bad decisions right there. Bruno Mars?
Yeah. So
that's good promotion.
That's when I clicked. That's when it clicked to be like, they don't understand. And you know what I mean? Like, it's all love. So when I asked for my release, everybody thought I was playing. My management thought I was playing. The label thought I was playing. So they didn't say nothing to me for 2-3 months, right? And I'm like, I need the president's number since nobody's taking me serious. I text the president, hey. I emailed the president, hey, we got to talk. I only talked to them after 4 or 5 months. And they're like, you really serious about this? And I was like, yeah, I'm serious as a heart attack. I was like, I want to be let go. And it, like I said, it took, 6+ months after that to be released, because it was like, being in a relationship where somebody, wants to break up and the other person wasn't ready. And I just felt like, I have more value. I understand my worth a little bit more now. And I'm not going to stay in a place where I feel like I'm not being appreciated. You know what I mean? I'm just being tolerated at this point where it's like, no matter how much I do, no matter how much God blesses me on a personal level, and even just on an artistic level, in my POV, my team and the people around me, it didn't click for them. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just like, nah.
And that's what's interesting. A lot of art, you know, your fans and a lot of people in general, when they listen to music, they see artists on television, and they'll compare artists, and they'll always have that wonder why this artist isn't as successful as another artist.
Mhm.
And usually when we tell our audiences, usually it's the team. It's
Mhm.
something to do with the team a lot of times. Like in your case, you're
Yeah.
hugely talented. You write and produce. Your game is crazy. We're going to get into that in a second. But you just didn't have the resources and the tools. They didn't. You weren't a priority to them, it seems.
Mhm.
So it's like, it's unfortunate. But let's get into your pen game, because you have written for some really big names.
Mhm.
You've written for Johnny Gill, Tony Braxton, as you said, Jamie Foxx,
Yeah.
Trey Songz with
Uh,
Touching, right? Was it Touching?
Touching Loving.
Touching
Yeah.
Loving.
A couple of records.
Nicki Minaj. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, you've worked with Troy Taylor, one of
Yeah.
the legends in the game,
Mhm.
who's brought us, Trey Songz, Elijah Blake,
Mhm.
Brandon Green, a lot of different people. Um, and also on your album, the latest one, Drive 2. I
Uh-huh.
mean, there's so many fire records on there. Like, your pen game is crazy. Like, I like Miscommunication. Now
Wow.
that's a song when you want to send some subliminal shots, play that around the house a few times. She gonna be like, okay, why you playing that over and over again? What you trying to say? That's the kind of song that is. That's clever songwriting. You
Thank
know,
you.
Sweet Release. I love that song. You got a lot of Honest. Honest is, well, that's, I think that's on the,
That's
which one
Audacity.
is that
Yeah.
on?
It's Audacity,
Yeah,
but
so,
yeah, it's all good.
but that's a good song too. That's got some great lyrics in it.
Thank you.
So you are a gifted songwriter, and it's rare that you have someone that's gifted in voice and songwriting, and you're also a producer.
Mhm.
So tell me about the time when you started to um, develop your songwriting gift.
Mm.
I know you work with, Troy Taylor. Tell me about leading up to that, because that's not an easy thing. I mean, I'm a songwriter. I've submitted to Troy Taylor. I've submitted to these people. So give some of us some no pointers. No,
Yeah.
give us some of your story, because it's really interesting, because you had a lot of success behind the scenes as a songwriter. So I'm
Yeah.
surprised that the label you were with um didn't know what to do with you. Just let him do what he does, is what I would
Yeah.
say. But
I mean, honestly, I think that I mean, even like in the cultivation of songwriting, it's a lot of trial and error, right?
mhm,
It's a lot of just like, okay, you got to figure out like what you sound like as far as like from a lyrical standpoint, how that
mhm,
can be penetrated into other people's lives, being able to be the chameleon, being able to adapt. Um, it's so much to it, you know what I mean? And it's a ever like evolving process as a writer. Um, but like starting off, it was a thing where it was like, yo, I'm gonna make songs because I love it. And then after a while, you're trying to match up songs um to what you play in the car. It becomes a competitive thing to say, can I make a song that Tank would do on Sex, Love, and Pain? You know what I mean? And then there's a withdrawal that comes from that, right? So I felt like that was my rinky-dink version of what Tank would do on Sex, Love, and Pain. And so those kind of records and you emulating and being inspired and building these worlds, you just, after a while, after hundreds and hundreds of records, you create formulas for yourself to say, oh, okay, this sounds like I could go here, or I could do this, or this needs a big hook, this needs more of a simple hook, this is more of like a one word takeaway that just, the one word hit a quitter joint, so it's so many different routes that you could go. And I discovered that through trial and error. So by the time that I got to Troy, I was just a wild card. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
so no one knew what to expect in a sense of like what they were going to get from me from a song perspective. And it wasn't until him just kind of being like, change that that hook needs to be stronger. I
Mm,
don't, that subject matter is not strong enough. Um,
mm,
You know what I mean? Like if you have something like, even if whatever, he'll just be like, okay, change this, change that. And he's not one to really talk to you like and break it down in a science. Like,
Right.
he ain't that guy. Like, he'll tell you one thing and he'll leave the room. And you just got to call him when you're ready and be like, hey, can you listen to this? And no matter how many times, he'll be like, nope, that ain't it. And you be like, damn. Like, call me when you get it. Hey, come here. Nope, that ain't it. But the cool thing with Troy was it was a great training ground because of the fact that the industry is not like that, right? And even though his method is not like, sit you down and talk you through the process, it's still more forgiving than the actual music business. Because in the music business, all you got is one shot. All you got is 15 to 30 seconds. When they hear that record and be like, all right, am I into it? Nah, that's whack. They ain't gonna call you back. The A&R ain't gonna be like, yo, I like the verse, but can you change the pre-hook and the hook or this and that? Like, most A&Rs now aren't built for that, right? They built to understand what people are gravitating towards. So their job is a lot easier. They can look on SoundCloud to say, okay, they're getting these amount of streams and plays. They ain't gotta understand the music. They only have to understand that there is a base and there is a crowd or audience that get it. So they like, all right, well, they got this crowd, and just imagine with this money, what we could do. And you know what I mean? Right. So, the music industry is not forgiving in the sense of when you play songs, right? So Troy at least gives you enough time and space to make the corrections so that when you're sitting there in front of a Tony or a Tank or whomever, because you can always have a Troy Taylor in your ear to be like, nope, don't do that. Nope, that's not good. Nope. You be like, yeah, it's not good. Let me go ahead and change that real quick right now, because those are the moments that matter, right? It's just like, when boxers train, they train every goddamn day. You know what I'm saying? Football players, basketball players, athletes, they train every day.
Yeah.
For, you know what I mean? For a particular game, or, even like Olympians, they train for like literally a couple weeks out of 4 years. And maybe, the Winter Olympics, so every 2 years or whatever the case may be. But all of those training moments, all of those exercises, all of those routines are for a defining moment.
Right.
And that, to me, was my training with Troy, was to prepare myself for the defining moments when I'm sitting there and I can't say, oh, my bad, Mr. Quincy Jones, I'm having a bad night. My bad, Mr. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever.
Yes.
Like, nobody wants to hear that you're having a bad night, right? So what the skill sets that you develop is you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to say, okay, this didn't work, but let me try this. Let me figure out different ways, right? And it's your willingness, right? Who's willing to do a song over and over again, right? We heard the infamous story of Pharrell Williams and Happy. You know what I mean? He sent it into the studio. They gave him the job, remember, to do the theme song for this actual Despicable Me movie. And he had to submit it 9 times, 9 different songs. So, and it's Pharrell Williams. So he's already successful. He's a goddamn multi-millionaire.
Yes.
Telling somebody that's that successful, nope, that ain't it. Nope, that ain't it. Somebody with an ego like that would have gave up by song 3. You know what? Nah, this ain't for me. Nah, I'm good. If y'all don't understand what I'm trying to do, I like this. I'm Pharrell Williams. I done sold hundreds of millions of records. I know what I'm doing. But he was humble enough, and he had somebody, i.e. Teddy Riley, to tell him, nope, do it again. Nope, do it again. Nope, do it again. Nope, do it again. You develop this callous in you to say, a relentless, like, if you're giving me a chance to do it over, which is very rare in the music industry, I'm going to take that chance. I'm going to take that shot. If you telling me it ain't it, but you want me to do it again, there's something there. And I'm going to keep prying at it until I get it.
Thanks again for watching, guys.
And before we go, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
Yeah. And also remember to turn on the notification so you can know when we have another show. But thanks again.
That too.